Leicester Fan TV podcast on YouTube, as seen on TalkSport. Talking everything Leicester City. Run by the fans. For the fans.
Welcome to the Leicester Fan TV podcast. Today we've got Sam on with me talking all things Leicester. At the moment we are not in the greatest of form, are we, Sam? We've just got knocked out of the League Cup by Newcastle. Again, you can't really fault it with the way they're playing at the moment, but then again you've got to ask what we're doing at the moment. And then we'll talk a bit about the Forest game. But Sam, what is your first takes on this Newcastle game?
If you have to start from the start, I think the lads are trying their best. I'm not going to dispute it because I'm sick of having a go at everything, the whole situation. I'm just going to start by saying I think the lads are having a go. And I'm not blaming Rodgers or anyone. It's all little pockets of people that are doing wrong at the moment in the club. But Rodgers' tactics, that he might not want the players he's got, but he's got them, so he has to make do with them. He can't just play his style of tactic because passing around the back doesn't work with the players we've got. For me, more counter-attacking, fast football works with the style of players we have, especially when you've got Vardy and Daka up front. They're more clinical when they're on the breaks. And Top himself, he needs to shift some money into the club. If Rodgers is the man to take us forward, then you need to give him the money to, put the players he wants into place. We sold Fofana for 70 million in the last window, and we just got apparently a £40 million loan. So I don't know. We've got over £110 million, and for whatever reason, we see at the club shop they're selling signed T-shirts for £450. So it's a weird one at the moment. We're about a third of the way through January, and we've not really had a sniff at anyone coming in. So, the Newcastle defeat, I think, was what I predicted. I really can't predict anything else. And going into the Forest game, I really can't see us getting anything from it at this rate.
Yeah, and obviously I was doing the watch along last night, and I don't know, at moments in the game I thought, do you know what, we could nick it here. Obviously we're getting the counter-attacks. Daka was getting the runs on, but it was always the last balls that just wasn't good enough, and that's where you probably do need the likes of Maddison to be that creative guy to know that last ball will be good. And we're just missing it again. Barnes wasn't great against Newcastle. Again, he's not been great most of the season at the moment. And then you just got to look at the team, really, like you say. We've got Luke Thomas at the back. I think he struggled most of the game. That's why he got taken off after about 70 minutes, I think. Again, it's just because there's so many injuries as well. There's so many different areas that you could kind of complain and make excuses at. But the moral of the story is, you're right. We just don't have a plan B, do we? When we get into the later stages of 1-0 down, let alone 2, you need to be changing. Like I said that we need to be bringing Kel and Vardy on at half time. You're in the game somehow at 0-0 at half time. You've got to be changing it up because it just doesn't work. Yeah. And it just didn't change at all. So
Rodgers and his team are very slow to make those changes. We saw it took, I think we brought Mendy on with 7 minutes to go, and we're already 2-0 down. Why bring Mendy on? He's the worst player to bring on in that situation, and another defensive midfielder. I don't understand really what goes to Rodgers' head when he makes these decisions. It's just basic things. All of us fans see what we should be doing, and Rodgers does the complete opposite, and he has been for the past 18 months now. I don't think it's. I'm just surprised. I don't know about yourself, but I know Elijah is still backing another of our content creators. He still backs Rodgers, but I'm struggling to hear any opinions on why he backs Rodgers or why a lot of fans back Rodgers. I'm not hearing anything apart from I think he should stay. I don't hear any good reasons as to what he brings to this club at the moment, apart from a massive paycheck is what we're going to have to give him when he leaves. I don't know what really fans see in him anymore. For me, he's taken us right down. 18 months ago, we were 5th semi-final against Roma in Europa Conference League, and now, I hate to say it, and fans can deny it all they like, we're in a relegation battle, and that's what it is this season. As much as you say we might not be, but we are 2 points off relegation. We lose to Forest, we're going to go down even more again. They're going to go ahead of us. And they've been a bit of the clown team, but I think we've been a bigger clown team this season by country mile.
Yeah, and going back to the Newcastle game, before the game kicked off, I was very optimistic, thinking, do you know what, if we can get through here, we'll be in the semi-final, this week we can look forward to. But after the game, I feel like I've just lost a bit of faith in the team. Obviously, I'm not going to say the words Rodgers out because I still don't think that is going to be the complete solution. If he goes, I'm not sure it will still fix the solution because we've still got so many issues. But going back to like the Roma game and stuff like that, and the year we got like fifth, we did have a lot more quality players in that side at that point. Obviously, again, injuries you can't really help, but the likes of Ricardo was in that team when I think he scored against Rennes, I think, I'm not too sure, but there were so many players that you would expect to be in that side.
Again, it's another conversation of topic that, we've got all these players out with injuries and they all seem to be pulling up hamstrings, legs. It's like, what? We've just spent £100 million for a new training facility at Seagrave. And, ever since we moved into there, we've got countless injuries for the past 2 years. So, what are we really doing? We're clearly not doing leg training or any leg work because all the lads seem to keep pulling up with hamstring injuries. And when you look at them, they're not really injuries you get from a bad tackle. Maybe a couple of them, like Justin's and Ricardo's, are leg breaker tackles, and they have been, out for a few months from bad tackles. But, when you look at like Sumeri, KDH, Madison, they're all just leg injuries. It's not anything that's, it's just them running around and pulling up. It's just, I don't understand where there's so, like I said, there's so many little things wrong with the club that altogether make us impossible to work with at the moment. As a fan's point of view, from my point of view, I'm sick and bored of watching these games. I've got a lot of better things to do than watch us lose week in, week out, knowing that nothing's changed. Knowing that not just Rodgers' tactics isn't changing, but top isn't changing the way we do as a club. It's just everything in the whole. It's making us, from a club I used to watch, to embarrassed. I don't like to wear, my Leicester shirt out anymore because it is a bit embarrassing to be a Leicester fan at the moment because we fall so high from grace. And 2 years ago, everyone was saying, "Oh, Leicester are the new top six now." And maybe the new top six in the Championship, but I don't know about the Premier League anymore.
Yeah, and you were saying with even if Top's backing Rodgers, then you've got to be putting the money in the club. And like you say,
100%, he has to do it.
We saw a picture last night of where, like, since Rodgers came to the club, he's like net spend is £3 million. Other clubs are like 200 million. They have literally put money in the club without having to gain it to give it. And as much as it works, now it just seems like if we don't, we could be in an absolute hole.
I've told everyone before that we never spend more than we earn. Rodgers has been here, this is his 4th season with us now.
Yeah.
So 4 years come the end of this season is how long he's been with us. And, if a net spend of 3 million is all it is, we've had some really good players, but like I said, we only spend as much as we earn. So for me, I hate that business model, and clearly it's not worked because we signed rubbish players last season. And let's not whitewash it. Daka, Sumeri, Vestergaard, Bertrand, they were all awful signings, and we didn't get any signings last summer after Fofana went, apart from Fies, because we needed a new defender. And he's a good defender, Fies, but we all know we need a winger. Again, I keep hearing rumours after that Boga guy from Atalanta who Lookman's replaced. It's just I don't understand our business. I don't understand where we are. We've had a few sniffs for, I think it's Victor Christiansen from Copenhagen, a young left back. Again, about £10 million I think it's going to cost. He's not really played much, but
he's unproven, isn't he? That's the problem.
Unproven. Again, it's just that claims to be our business model: is sign unproven players and hope they're good. It didn't really work for me when we signed Daka and Sumari. I don't think they looked good in their league. I don't think they're quite capable of the Premier League, in my opinion. But again, there's just so many little things wrong with the club at the moment, which is why we are doing so bad at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, I'm not going to say the words, but I think something needs to sort out, because otherwise we are going to be in that hole where I don't think we might be able to get out, because we just don't have the players at the moment.
Well, I said yesterday in one of the group chats, a lot of people saying, "Oh, we had a good run of form and these lads did it," and then I put in the chat the teams that we beat, and they were all really
they're all over the match. Yeah.
West Ham, Everton, Leeds, Forest, they were all teams that were below us, I think. Sorry, they were above us obviously because we were dead last, but they were all around the same ballpark of playing awful. So, it's not really like, we played somewhat hard teams. We played Fulham, Bournemouth, Southampton even. We're losing to those teams, and it's like they're not teams we were losing to 18 months ago. We were thrashing those teams 3-4-5-0. And, we were giving the top 6 teams a run for their money. But now, if we played Arsenal right now, we get slaughtered right now. it's a real fall from grace, and we've not really lost any players apart from injuries. A lot of the players are still here. I mean, come the end of this season, I think a lot of our big players like Telemans, Maddison, I think Maddison's going to go January. I think Newcastle, I've got him eyed up. Personally, I think he's not injured. This is just me just spouting.
I completely agree.
Newcastle have said don't play him all January, so we'll sign him at the end, so he's fit. He's obviously had a bit of a leg problem. Keep him fit all January, we'll sign him for 80 million off you. I think that's the game plan at the end of the day for Maddison. And, that's a massive loss, and I genuinely think if we lose Maddison, keep things where we're going to be relegated, probably dead last.
Yeah, hopefully going into a positive note, now on Saturday we have Forest again. It might not be a positive note, but we've got to look into it now. We're saying that they are below us. They are, yes, joint points, but they are below us still, I think. And they're in a bit better form than us. Obviously, we've lost 3 in a row in the Premier League. They've won 1, drawn 1, and lost 1, I think. So going into this Forest match, it's a big 6-pointer, because if we do lose this game, they'll go above us and we will be right next to that.
I think a lot of fans are going to be Rodgers after the Forest game. Last time we played Forest, I think Forest seems to be our Achilles heel. We lost them 4-1 in the cup, and almost every fan was calling for his head, saying he needs to get out of the club. Then we beat Forest, and that started our run of winning games. We won about 4, 5, 6 in a row after that.
It might kick-start us, but you never know.
It could kick-start us, but for me, if we lose, Rodgers has to. For me, Rodgers has to go anyway. We're saying it for the past year. I can't keep saying it. I think it's the final straw if you lose to Forest. Obviously, after being knocked out of the cup, and then you're losing games to teams you shouldn't be losing to. This is a game where it's Forest. It was a huge game when we won against them at home. Now it's even bigger. It's probably even bigger than that, because it's a situation where if we lose this... When we played them at home, the players that were playing had a lot to give back. A lot of those players were realising it's a derby, and I don't understand offensive, but a lot of these players that come abroad probably don't realise the magnitude of what a derby is to fans, and I don't think Rodgers is conveying that message, saying this is a massive game for the fans. They're going to be fuming if we lose this.
It just shows you as well that the players who did look better in that Forest game when we won 4-0 was all the English players. I'm not doing anything like that, but like you say, people that come from abroad or who aren't from England could see, like Maddison, he was on fire that day. Barnes scored a screamer that day. The rest of the players played well, but they just don't. You don't see how big a derby day is.
Like I said, I think there's a lot of players that wouldn't realise how big a derby match is. With the injuries we've got out now, it'd be interesting to see who's interested, because it's not even about if they're interested in derby or not. I think a lot of these players that are playing now are the ones that have been sat on the bench for the past year, taking 80 grand a week. Your Vestergaards, your Perez, they're all taking very high wages, and I just don't think they're bothered to be a Leicester player, really. So again, it's a massive game in Forest, but for me, win, lose, draw doesn't change my mind. Rodgers needs to go. I think he's just too boring of a manager. He's too one-dimensional for saying he's on a ridiculous amount of money a year.
Yeah, and then finally, before we do end the podcast, Forest results, please. And what you think? Obviously, you say Rodgers out already, but would this maybe change your mind if you do convincingly beat Forest? Maybe, I'm not too sure. Or is it because they're just poor when we beat them?
Again, they're just another average or very poor team. They've just come up from the Premier League. We should really be beating Forest as it is anyway. With the team we've got, we've struggled to beat a lot of teams. We've struggled to beat Fulham, we lost to them. Bournemouth, we lost to them. They've both just come up from the Championship again. So
lost to Fulham. Oh, you already said that, yeah.
That's what I mean. We beat Forest, but they were also in a mess. For me, they're on a bit better form. They're finding their feet a bit.
Like you said, we've beaten all the people. When we had that bit of a running streak, we beat all the ones that were playing absolutely woeful. Everton were awful at that point. West Ham couldn't get a win in about 6 or 7 games. You're playing the likes of, I'm trying to think now, what's the other games that we won? Leeds at home. Again, they were poor. There was no one in that kind of lot that were anywhere near like the Newcastles, even the Brightons at this stage. They will drip us riot. I think
they did.
Exactly.
But if I had to say a score prediction, I'll give you 2 score predictions, because then that way I'm neutral. My heart is telling me we'll win 2-0. My head's saying I'm going to lose 3 or 4-0. If I'm being honest with myself, I just don't see where we pick up points at the moment. We play so one-dimensional. If any good manager comes into the Leicester game, they're going to have the crowd behind them for one. They're going to have a massive support. And I think it really is going to get on our players' backs. I think they're going to come out of the gates from minute one, their players, and they're going to run around us. Their fans are going to be on it. I think our fans are probably going to be a bit quiet to begin with. And, you know, we love conceding in the early minutes, so no doubt we'll concede first thing. So, yeah, I struggle to see what we do this game to pick anything up. So I'm going to say 3-0 to Forest in my head and 2-0 to Leicester in my heart, because, you know, I am a Leicester fan thick and thin.
I get what you mean. I don't think we're going to get battered I don't see us getting battered if we do perform badly. I don't think we're going to, hopefully don't let that happen. I'm going to say maximum 2-0 loss if we are playing bad. Hopefully we can perform well and get, I'll say, a 2-1 win. I think we'll concede with the likes of Brendan Johnson and stuff like that. But I do kind of agree with you with the manager situation. I think if someone does come in, maybe there's a bit of a boost, but I just don't think... I think if we do get a new manager, it would have to be an upgrade, because I don't think someone like, for the likes of Sean Dyche, maybe he's a player to manager to keep us up, but I don't think he'll be the manager to push us forward.
That's what we need at the moment as manager.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
For me, someone like Sean Dyche, he deserves a chance at least to come in, and if I was him, or like if I was Leicester, I'd say, listen, we're not going to give you a contract you've got this year. If you keep us up, we'll keep you on next year, see what you do. If you don't get us past top 10 next year, because that's what we're ambition, we'll get someone else in. I don't know what we're waiting for to say Rodgers. I think it's just a money problem really at the moment, as we've all seen. We don't know the actual what's going on, but I think we can all see there's a lot of money problems going on at the moment at Leicester.
Yeah, and I agree. I think if we do lose to Forest, even in my eyes, I'm not going to say the word, because I still think he could be the man, but I think something does have to change if we do lose to Forest. But that is going to be the end of the podcast for today. Sam, appreciate you coming on as well.
Cheers.
And we'll catch you all on the next podcast. Cheers.